Hello everyone, Dr. Nora Suunjwi here. Happy New Year's Eve. Oh my goodness, we have made it to the end of 2020. I hope that 2021 is an extraordinary year for you. Last night I watched the movie Sylvie's Love and I was just so taken away, in love with it, mainly because of the fact that it was just great. It represented me. It was just a feel good love story. And it reminded me of one of my favorite romance movies that I saw before, The Notebook. So I wanted to do a movie review slash comparison of Sylvie's Love and The Notebook. Let's get into it. All right. So a little bit about the movie Sylvie's Love. It's a period piece set in the late 1950s, 1960s. Sylvie is a young black girl from a pretty rich family. She finds herself just hanging around her dad's record store, and a gentleman walks in, looking for a record, but he kind of sees her through the window, and I guess he falls in love. They have a great summer of romance, and it just goes from there. And it is kind of the way The Notebook is. It is also a summer romance. The Notebook is pretty much about Allie and Noah. Allie meets Noah in the summer. That movie is also set, it's a period piece also set in the 1940s, I believe. And, they spend the summer together as well. So, pretty much, I love the two movies because, for one, they're just feel good romance movies, right? I love the fact that it's just two young people who find each other by a whim and they fall in love, and then you see just a little bit of the things they have to go through, and in the end, they choose love. If you're a feminist, you may have, a little bit to say about the fact that these girls chose love as opposed to maybe all of the other options that were there for them. So we're gonna do a little bit of comparison between the two. So, main characters, let's give all the facts, right? Sylvie's Love is the main characters. I want to say his name right. It's Nnamdi Asomugha and Tessa Thompson. They are the main characters of this film. They are both amazing. They touch your heart. They're so genuine. And the whole movie is just really a gentle movie. The conflicts in there, I was reading up on it and just seeing other people's perspective on Twitter last night, and someone said the movie was gentle. I really agree with that. Like they said, even the conflicts in the movie were gentle. Once they fell in love and things kind of went astray, even those moments where they had to kind of figure out what was going to happen next, it was just gentle. Sometimes in African American films, they kind of want to make it just on 10, and that wasn't the case for this movie. It was just feel good, and it took you down a love story, and it was amazing. So some of the things that are pretty much common with The Notebook and Sylvie's Love is just the fact that they're both period pieces. And Sylvie's Love and The Notebook are pretty much, the girl is a rich girl and the guy is just not so much. Robert is a saxophonist. He's doing well, getting better, and his career is pretty much booming once he meets Sylvie and everything like that. As well as Noah, he just happens to be, a little guy from the neighborhood, just kind of working. And at the end of the day, the girls are the ones who are at an advantage in both these movies, right? They're the ones who come from the rich family. They're the ones who are giving up, who would be giving up everything, all the opportunities that their parents have worked so hard to give them for the guy that may not be to their standard. Both their moms are just kind of like, no, this guy does not meet the piano lessons, because Sylvie's mom, she's like an etiquette teacher. This guy does not meet the standards of what society wants for us. And Allie's mom also is just like, no, you have been groomed all your life to marry into an affluent family. So both of them, the girl is also a daddy's girl, and from a rich family, and the guys are just kind of the ones who are like, oh, I love you, but I don't really have the coins to rub together to take care of you. So those are the two things. And, both of them are period pieces. So I like the fact that They did kind of put in a little bit of what was going on in that time period, but that wasn't so heavy on you in the film. So obviously in the 1950s, early 1960s, where Sylvie's love is, it's the civil rights movement. You know, things are happening. But I love how they just kind of edged it in with Mona and what she was fighting for during that time in Sylvie's love, but they didn't really hover that over our head. It's kind of hard sometimes because most of the movies that are set in that time period, that's all you're seeing. You're seeing marches, you're just seeing people going through so much. And it was really a nice perspective to see that in that time, people were thriving, love was alive and well. And also in the Notebook, it was World War II around that time. Granted, Noah does go to the war, but it's not just something that's totally hovering over your head. I also love the wardrobe in Sylvie's love. From the opening scene in that dress to her dancing in the record store where Robert catches her, to her cocktail dress where she gets her promotion, to just, you guys. The wardrobe is amazing. And also in the Notebook, just because it was a period piece, I loved the different things, just the colorfulness and all the different dresses that Ali wore. And obviously the men, I wouldn't say the men's fashion in the 1940s and 1950s and 1960s were my favorite. I haven't really looked into it, but that wasn't really what I was looking at. Obviously, I was looking into the women. And I absolutely loved Tessa Thompson in everything she wore. Shout out to the costume designers because it was amazing. I literally just want to throw out my closet and start over and just dress like her because it was amazing. That took me to something totally random. I'm in love with movies that show costume. One of my favorite movies, because it's a good movie, but because of the costume design, is My Cousin Vinny. Marissa Tomei, every single outfit that she wore, I was like, girl, you are giving me life. If you haven't seen My Cousin Vinny, it's an older movie, but the costume design, oh my goodness, you guys. Up until today, I will tell people to watch My Cousin Vinny just because of her. You may not care about fashion, but she killed the game. Anyways, moving on. So it is obviously one of the things I love, right? Because of these two movies, I think the reason why I loved The Notebook when it came out was because it was just a simple love story. Two people meet, they fall in love, life has its challenges. At the end of the day, Ali moved on with her life because she thought, that Noah gave up on her. And she went and she was just trying to do the best she can. She met a guy that she genuinely cared about and she was willing to marry. But at the end of the day, she had a love in her heart, and when she finally got her chance to be with Noah, she chose him. And some people might say, how could that be it for her? But I've been in love before, and in that moment, you really think that you would be willing to do whatever for that person. You feel like your life would just be a little less awesome if you weren't with them. So I definitely understand why in the end Ali chose Noah. In Sylvie's love, it's kind of up and down, and I like that aspect of the timing may not be right. They meet and he is just becoming so popular to the point where they end up going away to Paris. Well, she becomes pregnant. Like, I can see why she decided not to tell him, because she literally thought that, oh my goodness, he's so good. I see his potential. He's such an amazing artist. If I tell him this, he's going to leave. He's going to not want to leave. And he's going to, probably waste his talent. So I understood why she didn't tell him. And I also understand why when it comes back, I wouldn't say it's right, because at the end of the day, ego is like, it sucks. So I also understand why once they are in a good place and he's trying to figure out what to do with his life after things just have settled down and, jazz isn't where it used to be, where he goes to Detroit and it's a bust. And so he has to really think of what he's going to tell his love. He breaks her heart, But I honestly do think, like Mona said, I agree with her. He has watched her become the TV producer that she has always wanted to be. You know, as a man, you want to be the provider. As a man, you want to give the woman that you love and your child everything that you've ever dreamed that they would have. So for him to go to Detroit and things don't work out the way they planned, it's kind of like if you love something, you have to let it go. And if it comes back, you know, it was meant to be type thing. So he had to let her go. He had to go fend for himself. I am sad that he just kind of took the job that he did. But in the end, he got his love, you know, because he wanted her to live her dream. So I totally understand where he's coming from in that aspect. So I really love just the comparison. Some of the things that I saw, you know, that just literally watching it in Sylvie's Love brought me back to The Notebook was them just dancing in the middle of the street. I totally want to do that with somebody. Obviously not like a busy street that we're going to get hit by a car. It has to be like an isolated street at night. That makes more sense. So them just dancing in the middle of the street definitely took me back to The Notebook. Them, you know, just riding their bikes, took me back to The Notebook. Just the summer romance, just the young love. The two were just so in tune with each other, and it just reminded me of The Notebook. And obviously, Sylvie's Love came out in 2020. The Notebook came out in 2004. So the one thing I can say is that true love is timeless, and a good film, it doesn't matter how old it is, it will stay true. So one of the things I want to touch on is, as a Black girl, Sylvie's Love is a love that I can see for myself. I loved The Notebook. I was much younger when it came out, but it was just an authentic love story. I think in Hollywood, because I just love movies, it's sad that a movie that can be for everyone, Hollywood kind of shies away from it when it comes to targeting predominantly Black characters, because for whatever reason they just think that Black people are like one dimensional and we can't have non-problematic, you know, non-stereotypical love stories or just, you know, everyday type of stories. So I loved The Notebook because it was just a story about a boy and a girl, one from a rich family, one from a not so rich family, working hard, trying to do the best they can, and just trying to figure it out. You saw a little bit of racial tension, not even really, but it was a story that could be anybody. It didn't have to be Black or white. So that's why I related to it. But inside, you know, you always want that. You always want to see yourself in something like that. So The Notebook was just a timeless piece, and it really wasn't a racial thing. It was just a love story. With Sylvie's Love, it's also just that. It's a beautiful love story about two people who just happen to be Black. But as a Black girl, the fact that I could see myself, the fact that I could see myself in Tessa Thompson, the fact that I could see myself in Mona, she was just so beautiful. I loved Tessa and Mona's relationship. It blossomed. Mona was just always there to encourage her. Mona was there to kind of give her perspective. Mona was a good person by her side to also be able to show us, you know, in this great love, there were also people fighting for African American rights. It wasn't just looming over our heads, and I'm glad they didn't do that, but I'm glad they also made that point to put it in there to let everybody know that in the midst of this love, you know, that they could get away from because he was a musician and because she was from an affluent family, there were people who weren't so lucky, who were fighting for our rights and who may not have had that type of experience. So I just love the fact that it was a movie in this day and age, 2020, where I could see myself on film doing regular things. That was also one of the reasons why I loved the show Master of None, because it crossed racial barriers and it was just everyday people doing everyday things who happen to be minorities. So I definitely applaud the cast of Sylvie's Love. I don't know, I didn't mention, obviously The Notebook had Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams. Those were the main characters. And Nnamdi Asomugha and Tessa Thompson. are the main characters in Sylvie's Love. I love Sylvie's Love. It made me feel giddy inside. I've only watched it once. I watched it last night. I'm probably gonna watch it a lot more times because it's just a feel good movie. You know, it's absolutely amazing. And I just love when characters are authentic. Nothing was forceful. I didn't have to sit and be like, oh, are they gonna talk about something that's obvious but kind of forced? So I think it was an amazing movie. I would definitely say that for people who just love love, who love a happy ending, you know, it's for you. You want them to live happily ever after. You know that it's not going to be easy. You know, he still has a love that he let go to just be able to fend for himself. So maybe, you know, he could pick it up again. You don't know. He is an amazing artist. But at the end of the day, he thought he was doing the right thing by letting her go. And I'm so glad that she decided to pursue her dream. Obviously, you see infidelity in both of the movies. That's just who are we to judge, right? But if you were put in that situation, would you be the one that was like, no, I'm married. No, I made a commitment to marry you and I'm not going to cheat on you. That's not really what this is about. Life happens. I'm not the one to judge anyone because at the end of the day, you're rooting for the main people. You're rooting for the two lovebirds to live happily ever after. And so I loved Sylvie's Love. And I love the fact that it reminded me of The Notebook so much because of just the similarities, because of just the fact that it was just two pieces. Can you imagine Sylvie's Love, African Americans, just going through everyday love? The Notebook, Caucasians, white people, you know, just love. I think this is a great example of where Hollywood should go. Every race, every single race can be told in every subject of life. So I encourage Hollywood to not be afraid to put Black people in normal scenarios. Like, nobody wants to see the stereotypical movie anymore. It gets old. Try something new. That's why I loved it so much, and I just loved the love story. And I look forward to hearing you guys' opinion of it. I look forward to reading so much more, and I look forward to watching it again. So that was my movie review comparison. Let me see if there was anything I missed. Nope, I think that's it. I definitely recommend you guys go watch it. Tell a friend, tell another friend, and another friend. And let's just keep Hollywood diverse and inclusive. And it's going to be better with each day. All right, Dr. Nora Soundry here. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, share this with anyone else who you want to, or you would think that they would enjoy the movie. And if you haven't watched The Notebook or My Cousin Vinny, go look for it because they're great movies. All right, see you guys soon. Goodbye.